Greetings, we'll cover a few details about Barnes Wallis and his life in a succinct manner. Here is a short rundown of his early years, education, career, persona, accolades, notable works, legacy, and demise. English scientist, engineer, Sir Barnes Neville Wallis, was also an inventor. In World War II, he is most known for developing the bouncing bomb that the Royal Air Force employed in Operation Chastise to strike the dams in the Ruhr Valley. Also known as Sir Barnes Neville Wallis, famous as English scientist, born September 26, 1887, Ripley, Derbyshire, United Kingdom, died October 30, 1979, Leatherhead Hospital, Leatherhead, United Kingdom. Father, Charles William George Robinson Wallis. Mother, Edith Eyre Wallis née Ashby. Siblings, Charles Wallis, Annie Wallis, John Wallis. Spouse, Molly Bloxham. Children, Elizabeth Wallis, Christopher Wallis, Mary Eyre Wallis, Barnes Wallis. Discoveries, inventions, bouncing bomb. Charles Wallis and Edith Ashby welcomed Barnes Wallis into the world on September 26, 1887 in Ripley, Derbyshire. He was the second of the couples, for children to be born. When Wallis was 2 years old, his family relocated to London's New Cross Road, where his father had a medical business. He caught poliomyelitis in 1893, a deadly condition that left him paralyzed. Wallis has always had a passion for making things. He created paper toys for his younger sister in their workplace with his brother. He earned his schooling from Christ's Hospital School and was a scholar of the highest kind. Wallis decided to become an engineer after discovering a passion for math and science at the school. After graduating from high school in 1905, Wallis started working for the ship engine manufacturer, Thames Engineering Works. He interned there until 1908. He began working as a marine engineer in 1908, at the Isle of Wight shipyard owned by John Samuel White. Ambitious and forward-thinking, Wallis quit his job in 1913, and went on to work for Vickers, a company that developed airships and aircraft. Wallis had a background as a naval engineer and had no knowledge of airships or flying. Despite his ignorance, he quickly educated himself about airships and aviation. Meanwhile, he enrolled in the University of London External Programme in 1922, and earned a degree in engineering. Wallis briefly lost his job when World War I started because the Admiralty wouldn't spend money on the development of airships. He made the decision to join the army, but Vickers' airship development team called him back. Wallis participated in the creation of R-100 in 1930. His accomplishments at this point in his career include the introduction of geodetic design into engineering and gas bag wiring. He contributed to the construction of the then largest airship ever created. He also helped John Edwin with the R-100 structural design. Wallis relocated to the Brooklands Vickers aircraft plant. His geodetic design was implemented in the fuselage and wing structures of all pre-war aircraft designs by Wellesley, Wellington, and Warwick. Wallis was hired by Vickers to be the aircraft division's associate chief designer when the Second World War started. He rapidly understood that strategic bombing was necessary to prevent the enemy from initiating hostilities. He wrote a paper titled A Note on a Method of Attacking Axis Power for the same purpose. Wallis suggested that destroying the enemy's industrial base would be the easiest way to win the battle. A world without manufacturing would imply a world without military supplies. He conducted research to support his strategy and discovered that the Ruhr was the most significant industrial hub in Nazi Germany. Wallis proposed that bombing dams would serve the singular objective of upsetting the industrial foundation. Dam breaches would release a large amount of confined water, which would then destroy everything in its path. He created a revolving drum-shaped bomb to implement his plan to attack dams. The bomb would roll down the dam's wall, bounce over the water, and detonate at the base of the dam. As a result, there would be reduced chance of aircraft damage and the bomb's range would be increased. The Air Force gave Wallis the all-clear after being impressed by the concept of the bouncing bomb. They gave Wallis the go-ahead to manufacture explosives for an attack on the Möhne, Eder, and Sorp dams in Germany's Ruhr industrial region. The bomb was known only as Upkeep. Operation Chastise, the dambuster operation, was carried out on May 16 and 17, 1943, by the Royal Air Force's 617 Squadron, a unit that was expressly formed for the mission. The Möhne and Eder dams were breached, seriously harming Germany's industrial base and disrupting hydropower. The dambuster raid did not have the same physical effect on the Axis forces as Wallis had anticipated, but it did affect them psychologically. After the bouncing bomb was a success, Wallis developed the Tallboy and Grand Slam bombs. The latter was 10 tons in weight, whereas the earlier weighed 6 tons. They were employed against vital targets, such the German battleship Tirpitz, huge civil structures, submarine pens, and V-2 rocket launch sites. Wallis returned to Brooklands as the Vickers Armstrong's Research and Development Department head after the Second World War. He devoted the latter half of his professional life to creating cutting-edge aircraft projects like swingwing technology and supersonic travel, among others. Wallis invented the heyday rocket-launched torpedo in the 1950s. It was propelled by hydrogen peroxide and compressed air. He created a polyester, non-flammable, and unbreakable non-misting glassless mirror. He served as a consultant during the construction of Australia's Parkes radio telescope in 1955. The majority of the 1960s were devoted to creating concepts for all-speed aircraft. He suggested building a craft that could fly effectively at all speeds, from subsonic to hypersonic. At a family tea gathering, Wallis had his first encounter with Molly Bloxam, his future wife. They clicked right away. Bloxam's father prevented her from courting Wallis, but the two continued to correspond via letters. The two immediately developed an unbreakable bond. The couple wed on April 23, 1925. Barnes, Mary, Elizabeth, and Christopher were the 4 children that the couple was blessed with. Additionally, they took in the orphan children of Molly's sister. The pinnacle of Wallis' career occurred when the Royal Air Force utilized his Upkeep bouncing bomb during the dambuster raid in May 1943. Wallis' bouncing bomb, known as Operation Chastise, was used to bombard the Möhne, Eder, and Sorp dams in the Ruhr region during World War II. He thought that by breaking through the dam wall, they would demolish Nazi Germany's industrial base and thwart its war plans. Wallis became a Fellow of the Royal Society in 1945. He received a knighthood in 1968 for his achievements as an engineer and inventor. In addition, the Royal Commission on Awards to Inventors gave him a £10,000 award for his development of the bouncing bomb. Wallis has received a great deal of recognition for his outstanding work as an engineer and inventor. Public buildings bear his name. In addition, he is honored by a building at Nottingham Trent University. Numerous locations around the world are adorned with his monuments, busts, and plaques. The Dambusters raid is always on display at the Yorkshire Air Museum. It consists of a model bouncing bomb and a stone-skimming catapult for testing the bouncing bomb theory. A brief history of Wallis' work is also on display to keep the visitors informed. He has appeared in various books as a fictional character. It's interesting that in golf, a shot that bounces over a water hazard surface has been given the moniker Barnes-Wallis. On October 30, 1979, he passed away in Effingham, Surrey, England. At the nearby St. Lawrence Church, he was laid to rest.